Alex Hormozi, the man behind the overwhelmingly simple brand that has amassed over 4 million followers on Instagram and over 3 million subscribers on YouTube. The Alex Hormozi editing style embodies simplicity, efficiency, and practicality, which is the reason it is one of the most demanded editing styles for both short form and long form content. So as a video editor, if you don't know how to edit the Alex Hormozi editing style, you're missing out on some of the best paying clients you could ever wish for. So in this video, I'm going to teach you everything there is to editing like Alex Hormozi. We'll break down the editing style down to its fundamentals, then we'll put together a plan to edit like the Alex Hormozi editing style, and finally we'll use that plan to turn this piece of raw footage into a viral Alex Hormozi style edit. All of that in just the next 15 minutes. And if you're a video editor who wants to learn how to edit other people's videos and make $1,000 per month doing so, click the first link down in the description and watch this video here. This is the ultimate guide to the Alex Hormozi editing style. Let's dive right in. When it comes to breaking down editing styles, the easiest way to start is by simply watching a lot of the style. And after watching multiple Alex Hormozi reels and YouTube videos, we noticed that this style is really simple. All of his short form content starts with a basic text animation and occasionally either an image pop-up with a drop shadow or some kind of text sequence. The entire body of his short form content is nothing but text. No, literally, there are no animations. So we turned over to his long form content, and that's where things started to gain some depth and complexity. Every animation in the body had one singular goal: to make what Alex is saying simpler and easier to understand. He does this by utilizing text animations, very basic UI animations, and everything is always packaged in simple layouts with no complexity. And after looking through so much Alex Hormozi content, what can we conclude are the fundamentals of the Alex Hormozi editing style? Well, there are just 7 fundamentals that make up the entire Alex Hormozi editing style. For starters, first is the text. 90% of Alex Hormozi videos are just text, and there are 2 major text styles he has recently transitioned to: the simple white and the bold vibrant. The simple white text is made up of modern fonts like Aesthetico, Lowy, Rowan, and Marcher, and it's made up of a simple white color and a simple drop shadow. The bold vibrant text is made up of more thick fonts like Aura, Roebuck, PF Fusion, and many more, and it uses gradients for colors and simple glows. In terms of text animations, they are both very simple. They usually just have a scale in animation. The second fundamental is our colors. Alex is known for using very vibrant colors, and studying his most recent YouTube and Instagram uploads, we can notice there are 4 main colors being used: white, green, yellow, and purple. Third is his hook animations. Let's start with this. Most of his hooks are just text animations, but occasionally he'll slip in an image pop-up with a drop shadow or a text sequence. Fourth is his body UI animations. Again, 90% of the time, Alex Hormozi is just using text animations for the body. But another thing that we can notice is a simple UI pop-up like the one he's got over here. Now, to be honest, that's all that Alex Hormozi does for his shorts. So we actually had to head into his long-form content to learn a bit more about his editing style, which is where we found the 5th fundamental: his text graphic layouts. When we shift our view over to his long form content, we notice he utilizes a lot more graphics. Although most of his video is just raw, the most common type of animation we can see is on-screen text graphic animations. These explain his points much more, and again, stick to that yellow, white, and purple colorway. 6 is his full screen UI animations. Sometimes to transition between points, he'll use a full screen UI animation with simple text in the middle. Again, sticking to that white, purple, and yellow colorway. And finally, last, 7th, is his cartoony sound design and trendy music. Alex Hormozi sound designs all of his animations using game sound effects and always uses trendy Instagram songs in the background. And with all of these 7 fundamentals, that covers every aspect of the Alex Hormozi editing style. So as video editors, how do we use this information to create this editing style? Well, we simply pack it all into an inspiration board, which is going to be our guide to creating this style. So first, we'll lay out the text, add screenshots of this style, and add the fonts that he uses. Then the colors, add the white, purple, yellow, and green. Then the hook animation. Add screenshots of the image pop-up and the text sequence. Then the UI body animations. Add a screenshot of the call UI he uses. And then the text graphic animations. Add multiple screenshots of the text setups he uses. Then the full screen UI animations. Add pictures of the full screen animations he uses. And after doing all that, we have a full Figma board that breaks down everything there is to the Alex Hormozi editing style. So now all that's left to do is figure out how we can use this board to create an Alex Hormozi style edit. So let's go ahead and take our raw footage and show you guys how an Alex Hormozi style edit is created. Alright, this is the raw footage we're going to be using, and you guys can download it down below to follow along with this video. But let's go ahead and boot up Premiere Pro and drag our footage into our timeline. As you guys know, step 1 of editing any video is cutting out the silence. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll zoom in and enlarge the video so that I can see a little better. Select my razor tool, cut right after I finish speaking, and before I start speaking again, delete the silence and bring the clip back. Now we're just gonna do this to the rest of the short. Now these are quite basic cuts, but there's a way to make them much better. J-cuts. J-cuts are a type of cut where the audio begins before the video, making the transition from clip A to clip B much smoother. To do this, just zoom in, hold down Alt and drag your video back, then bring the clip over and back. This way the audio starts, then the video. Now again, do this to the entire video, creating J-cuts everywhere. Cuts and J-cuts are now complete. Let's move into our next step. As we mentioned, the pillar of the Alex Hormozi editing style is the text. So let's go ahead and make it. Step 1 is first generating subtitles. So how do we do that? Select Window and click on Text. Then head over to the Transcription tab, click on Transcribe, and Premiere Pro will turn your audio into a script. Once the transcription is complete, we then head into the Captions section, click on Create Captions, and since I want Alex Hormozi style text, which is 2 to 3 words long, I drop the character length to 15, set the time to 2 seconds, set this to single, and click on Create Captions. You're gonna get these yellow layers. If you're wondering what those are, these are subtitle layers. So step 1 is complete. Now step 2, design the captions. Remember, there are 2 styles that Alex Hormozi uses, the simple style and the bold style. For these captions, we're going to be making the simple style. Select one of your yellow layers and open the Properties tab. Start by changing the font to the font we're using, which is called Marcher. Then let's place our text in the center by clicking this middle zone here, and finally scale it up a little. To add the drop shadow that Alex Hormozi uses, come down here and increase the size and softness of the shadow. Once we have the styles down, go up here and click on your plus sign to create a new text style, which will automatically apply this style to all the text on our timeline. Awesome. Now the final thing we're going to be doing is selecting all of these yellow layers, clicking up here, then clicking here to turn them into this pink caption layer. The simplest way to explain these is yellow layer is bad, pink layer is very good. Alright, step 2 is complete. Now finally step 3, animate the subtitles. Start by adding the transform effect to your text. Keep in mind the animation we're making is a simple scale-in animation, but there's a few issues. Scale is dependent on your anchor point, and my anchor point is up here, meaning it's going to scale from the top and not the center. So move the anchor point in the transform effect until the text is in the center, and now we can scale from the middle. So we keyframe the scale at 100, move it 1 second in. This is the end scale of our text. Now we start the scale of our text at 80, making our text scale up. Click on this arrow and drag it back to start your animation quick and end it slow. And there we go. That is how you create a simple scale-in animation. Now to move our text back down again, in your transform effect, move your position down to the lower third. And now that our text is ready, how do we apply this to the rest of the text in this section? Right click on your transform effect and click on Save as Preset. Anchor it to your endpoint and save it. Now we'll just select the rest of the text and drag our preset onto all of them, and we'll have a scaled pop-in animation. And just by doing that, we have subtitles, the Alex Hormozi text style, and text animations that we can reuse in the entire edit. And so with the text done, let's go ahead and work on our first animation, the hook animation. The hook animations Alex Hormozi uses are either an image pop-up or a text sequence. Let's create an image pop-up for this one. We'll first need a picture of Alex Hormozi. So search him up, choose a high quality image, bring it into the website called AI Background Remover, and let it remove the background for you. Drag the new image into Premiere Pro and let's work on it. Scale it up, place it here, and stylize it with a drop shadow. Increase the opacity and distance a little and make the softness 40. Finally, let's give it a little pop-up, add the transform effect, keyframe the position and rotation, move the keyframes 2 seconds in, and start it off at the bottom. Then make sure your animation starts quick, then slows down. Finally, for our rotation, move that keyframe to the end and start it at an angle like so. Now the image pops up and rotates. One thing that Alex Hormozi does is he darkens and blurs the edges of the image so people can focus on the text better. Let me show you how easy this is to make. Just right click and add an adjustment layer. Adjustment layers are like glass panels. We can add effects to them that affect the layers under them. We'll place it under our text and image pop-up because we only want it to affect our raw footage. Then add the brightness and contrast effect. Drop the brightness, then add a Gaussian blur and increase it to 30, and this is going to make your whole scene dark and blurry. Then just click on this circle. This will mask your effects to a circle. Expand it like so. Click on invert. This is going to flip your mask. Then increase the feather, and this is going to smoothen out the edges of the mask. And there we go. Hook animation is complete. We can now move into the UI animation. But before we continue working on the rest of the video, if you're new to video editing, what if I told you that any beginner editor can learn the viral editing styles and make $1,000 to $2,000 per month by editing other people's videos? Yes, you watching this right now can do that. In order to get to that point, there are just 3 things every editor must do. First, you must learn the editing programs Premiere Pro and After Effects. Second, you need to learn how you can use these programs to create the edits that clients clients actively want. This is how you become the editor that they can hire so that you can create viral content for them. And finally, third, you need to build a high quality personal brand that brings you high paying clients. If you just follow these 3 steps, you will become the editor that gets paid $1,000 to $2,000 per month just to edit other people's videos. The only problem is actually doing these steps on your own is insanely difficult. And it's hard to find tutorials that break down and teach you the viral editing styles of 2025. And it's hard to learn how you can build a personal brand on your own and actually make it good. This is exactly why we've created Ultimate Editors. In Ultimate Editors, we teach you the fundamental editing programs in our Premiere Pro and After Effects Masterclass. We'll then teach you the viral editing styles of 2025 in our 6 editing style breakdowns. And then we'll teach you how to build a personal brand that actually works for video editors. And how do we know this works? Well, our students join as complete beginners, and this is what their editing looks like after just a few months. And these are the clients that they are landing. So if you want to learn how you can go from a complete beginner to getting paid $1,000 to $2,000 per month to edit other people's videos, click the link down below and watch this video on our website. I'll tell you exactly how we can take you, make you an amazing editor, and get you your first $1,000 editing client. But let's go back to the next UI section. In this next section, we'll be creating the new text style and the call UI that Alex Hormozi uses. Let's get started by making that text style. Select all your text layers for this section and click on Properties. Set the font to the Roebuck font and increase the scale. To design this text, add a 4-color gradient to it. This generates a gradient of 4 colors. And if it looks weird, it's because the gradient is affecting the drop shadow. So go into your text and remove that shadow. Now bring your gradient points down to here, set one to green, and then use the eyedropper to make all of them green. Then simply make 2 of them darker and 2 of them lighter, just like so. Now to add a nice stroke around it, add a drop shadow, set the opacity to 100%, and set the colors to dark green. Then for an actual drop shadow, copy and paste your drop shadow effect and just increase the softness like so. Now this is a new style. So to apply it to the rest of the text, select all your layers and save it as a preset and just drag it on the rest of your text. Now the second half of the text is actually quoting the color, so we're going to use a different color. We'll change the colors to yellow like this and save it as a new preset and apply it to the rest of the section. And finally, to animate the text, just slap on the preset animation we made for our intro text and we're going to get this. Awesome. Now let's go ahead and build that UI. First, we're going to need a rectangle. So select your rectangle tool and draw one out like so. Then in your properties, increase the roundness and place it up here. Then color it with a 4-color gradient and use variations of blue. Now to create the audio wave animation, search up an audio wave GIF and download one that looks high quality like this one. Drag it into Premiere Pro, and to remove the background, drag in a color key effect. This removes the color which you choose. So choose the blue color and increase the tolerance until it is no longer visible. And finally, add a mask around the audio waves. Bring it up to here and there we go. We're gonna finish it off with a glow, selecting both layers and nesting them, adding a drop shadow, setting the color to light blue, and increasing the softness and decreasing the opacity. With the design now complete, to have it animate in, we're gonna add in our transform effect, move halfway and keyframe the position, move back and start it off the top. Make sure to smoothen it out like so, and there we go. Now to create the icon next to it, select the circle tool and draw a circle like so. Then just make it a white color. For our emoji, head over to Emojipedia, download a human emoji, place it in the middle, and nest all of these layers together. Now scale it down and place it here, and animate it with your transform effect, keyframing the position, moving back, and starting it off to the top just like the rectangle. And there we go, our scene is complete. Finally, we'll nest the second batch of text and place them under our UI here, and we're gonna finish this off with a zoom in, add an adjustment layer on top of everything, add the transform effect, keyframe the position and scale, then move forward, then zoom into the text here, smoothen the animation, and there we go. And that is your complete call UI and text animations. It looks like something straight out of Alex Hormozi. Alright, now that that's done, let's go ahead and create our thick font section, which is going to be really easy. We obviously want to change all of the text, so select them all and change the font to the thick font called Roebuck and scale it up a little. For these, I'll leave them as white, just add a drop shadow, increase the opacity, make it softer, and set the color to white. Then play around with the opacity and softness to get a nice glow. Save that as a preset and apply it to the rest of our text. And finally, add your pop-up text animation preset to all of them so that we can animate them. And if you get a weird pop-up in the top left, this is just because your transform effect is on top of your drop shadow and gradient. So just go in and place it under them in each layer and you'll be good to go. Finally, this last text over here needs to be red. So select the 4-color gradient and change its color to 2 red colors up top and an orange and a yellow. Then turn the drop shadow shadow glow to a red too. And that's it for this part. Let's get into the full screen UI animation section. This one is going to be interesting. For this animation, we first want to start with a background. So let's add in a color matte layer. To color this layer, we add a 4-color gradient and set our first 2 colors to a dark purple and the last 2 to a black to get this background. Now let's start working on the number. Click on T and write out the number 1. Then set its color to yellow like so. Now hold down Alt and drag your layer like this. This is going to duplicate your layer. Then move our second one over to here, duplicate again and move the third one to here. Change these numbers to 2 and 3 and let's place them like this on the left side of our screen. Finally, to create our rectangle here, simply use the rectangle tool to draw a rectangle just like this. Then in the properties, color it a lighter purple than the background and place it right next to the number like so. Now we're going to need one for the number 2, so duplicate it, bring it down, and in the properties, scale it down horizontally. Then move it again closer to the number 2. Duplicate it one last time for the number 3 and move it down to here and scale it differently too. And with everything set up, now finally comes the time to animate things. First, we want to create pop-ups for the numbers, so add a transform effect to our number 1, keyframe the position in the middle, move back, and start it slightly lower. Start it quick and then slow it down like so. Then keyframe your opacity at 100, move that keyframe forward and start it at 0. This creates a pop-up fade in. Now just copy the transform effect and paste it on the other 2 numbers. Just make sure to delay them so that they all start after each other. This little trick makes your animations way nicer. As for the rectangles here, we want them to draw out. To do that, we're going to add our linear wipe effect. Since it needs to start from the left, we set the angle to 270 and keyframe the start at 100, move forward and set it back down to 0. Smooth it out, and this is going to create a nice reveal for our rectangle. Now just copy and paste this on the other 2 rectangles, and again, delay them too so that they follow each other. And just like that, we end up with a beautiful UI animation straight out of Alex Hormozi. With this animation out of the way, it's time to move on to the big on-screen text animation. Let's go ahead and build it. But ladies and gentlemen, we have made it pretty far into the video. And most of you guys watching this are new to video editing. And you've already seen how you can make $1,000 to $2,000 per month by just editing other people's videos using Ultimate Editors. But you haven't checked it out yet. So I'm assuming it is one of 3 reasons. For starters, you might not believe that Ultimate Editors works. In which case, look at all of these edits. They look amazing, right? Well, they all joined Ultimate Editors, creating edits like these. But maybe it's that you think that you can do it on your own. Well, all of these editors that I just showed you learned to create viral videos within 2 to 3 months. That's more progress than most editors make in 2 to 3 years. And lastly, maybe you're just not ready to make the investment. In which case, I'd simply ask you, if you made $1,000 to $2,000 per month with video editing in the next 3 months, are you really going to look back on the investment you made today and regret it? Click the link down in the description below and watch this video that we made for you here. But if you don't want to do that, let's get back into the video. For starters, we won't be needing any of these text layers, so let's get them all out of the way. Now I want the bottom of my screen to be darker and blurrier, so I add in the adjustment layer from before and simply make my mask smaller like so. Let's start with our main text. Add a text layer and write out the words how to increase demand. Set the colors to white, set the font to Marcher and use the lighter font. Decrease the scale and just add another line after the word increase, and then to highlight them, select these words and set them to the bold font like so. Then change their color to yellow. Now that looks nice, so let's keep working on the rest of the animation. Let's add another text and write the number 1, set the color to a light purple, then go down here and add a background, make it full opacity, increase the size and add some roundness to it, and make it dark purple. Now place this text on the left side, then hold down Alt and duplicate it twice. Move the duplicates like so and write the numbers 2 and 3. Now for the main text, duplicate the number 1 and move it to the right. Write out the words increasing prices, scale it down and place it here. Then just change the text color to a light purple. Design-wise, this scene looks amazing. But now let's animate everything, which is actually going to be a lot easier than you guys think. Start by adding a transform effect to your main text, keyframe the position and start it off to the left. Smoothen out the animation and follow that up with an opacity fade in, making the text pop in and fade in from the left. Now for our number 1, copy the same pop in fade in animation we made back here and paste it on all these numbers. Then delay all 3 of them like so. Finally, for our main text, let's add a mosaic effect. This is going to pixelize it like this. Start it at 100, keyframe the values, move those keyframes back and move forward and have it end at a high value like 1000. This will pixel reveal the text like that. Now start it back here and also paste that pop in animation so that it pops in with the numbers too. And just like that, the on-screen text layout is complete and this is what it looks like. Absolutely beautiful. Now let's go ahead and create our character reveal animation. Once again, we won't be needing any of the text, so let's just go ahead and get rid of it. And let's start with our character popping in. Let's find another picture of Alex Hormozi, bring it into the AI background remover, and remove that background. Back in Premiere Pro, bring it in and place it like so. Let's slap a drop shadow effect on it and play around with the values till it looks nice. Now for the colored background behind it, let's use the rectangle mask to draw this rectangle. Then color it with a 4-color gradient. Set your first 2 points up here and the last 2 points here. Make the first 2 points a purple and the last 2 a black, and then set the blending mode to screen. Making the blending mode screen allows only the light purple values to be visible. And then place that layer behind the picture of Alex to get this. Alright, let's go ahead and animate these coming in. Start with our character, add a transform effect to it, keyframe the position, move back and start it to the left, and smoothen it out to get this pop in from the left side. Then for the rectangle under, add a linear wipe, set the angle to 270, bring it up to 100% and keyframe it, move forward and reveal it at 0%. Then just increase the feathers so that it looks nicer. And finally, there's the text. Just duplicate the text from the scene we just made, write out the phrase 2 times the price needs only half the customers to yield the same results, and that looks ugly. So let's make it look nice. Select the words 2 times the price and set them to bold. Select the words half the customers and make them bold, and select the words same revenue and make them bold, then also make them all yellow, because purple and yellow is the Alex Hormozi colorway. Now simply move the character down to here since we have a bunch of empty space, then move the text down too and move the rectangle down as well. Looks much nicer. And there we go. Character text reveal animation is complete. Looks absolutely beautiful. Now moving into our next section, we're going to be reusing the text layout that we just made, which is the easiest thing to do in the entire world. Let's select all of our text layout layers while holding Alt Shift, then hold down Alt and drag them to duplicate all of them over to this section. Now we'll remove the mosaic transition from our first text, and we're going to need to add our second text, so duplicate that text and bring it down to number 2, and then change the words to scaling fast. And again, let's add the mosaic effect, set the values to 100, keyframe it here, move forward and increase it to 1000 to reveal it. And there you go. That's it. You get a beautiful animation. Which brings us to our 2 icon pop-up animation. This one is my favorite. As usual, we won't be needing the text, so select all of it and delete it. Now let's grab a quick icon, head over to flat icon and download an icon of someone sprinting and download an icon of someone walking. Bring both of them into Premiere Pro. Now to stylize them, start with a 4-color gradient, set the colors to some purple variants, and just leave one edge as white to get this cool look. Then to get a nice glow, add a drop shadow, use the eyedropper to get the same purple and increase the softness and decrease the opacity. Now here's the trick to make nice glows. Duplicate the drop shadow layer, make it smaller and more intense. This makes an ambient glow. Now scale them both down and place one in the top left and one in the bottom right. Now let's quickly add an animation, add the transform effect, keyframe the position, move back, start it slightly lower, and smoothen your pop-up animation. And double down on it with a nice opacity fade-in animation. Copy and paste the same animations for the walking icon, and start the sprinting icon over here and the walking icon back here. Now for the text, simply grab the text we made all the way back here, duplicate it over to here, change the word to sprint, and place it like so. This text already has an animation, so we don't gotta worry about that. We'll duplicate it again and write out marathon and place it down here. And there we go. Nice and simple icon pop-up animation. Now we move into our third text layout sequence, which is again very simple. We won't need the subtitles, so get rid of them. Select all the layers that make up our second text layout animation and duplicate them over to here. Remove the mosaic transition from the second text, duplicate the text, move it down to number 3, and write out the words being consistent. And once again, add the mosaic effect, start it at 100, move forward and bring it up to 1000 to create our mosaic reveal again. Alright, absolutely beautiful. And now for our final animation, the full screen UI animation. This is by far the easiest one. First, let's get rid of all of those layers which we won't need. Then we're gonna need a background. So we already made one for this UI, so let's go ahead and duplicate it and bring it over to here. Then I realized it's too dark. Let's set the first 2 colors to a lighter purple. Now for that text, I just duplicated this text layer here and wrote out the phrase consistency wins over everything, went into the properties and removed that background, then simply placed it like this. Then I duplicate the text and wrote out the number 1, scale it up, and place it here. Finally, I wanted to add a circle around the number 1, so I drew a circle with my circle tool, removed the fill, and added a light stroke. And with all that being said, all of the animations are complete and the Alex Hormozi edit is finished. Ladies and gentlemen, by simply following the 7 fundamentals of the Alex Hormozi editing style, you can turn any piece of raw content into an Alex Hormozi style edit. But with all this being said, this is the viral Alex Hormozi style edit you end up with. And I want to thank you guys so much for watching all the way till the end of the video. It seriously does mean a lot to me. God bless all of you guys. And if you want to enjoy more content like this, check out one of these 2 videos over here. Don't forget, if you want to learn how you can make $1,000 to $2,000 per month with video editing, click the link down below and check it out.